Crime Intelligence Boss Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo has dismissed as patently false claims by alleged tender kingpin Vusimuzi Matlala that authorities fabricated evidence linking him to an Eswatini identity document. Testifying before Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system, Khumalo said forensic data retrieved from Matlala's phone proved he possessed and used the disputed document, despite swearing under oath that he had never held an Eswatini ID nor used the surname Dlamini. Matlala, who previously told members of parliament that his phone had been tampered with by investigators, insisted that the ID was planted and that he held no dual citizenship. However, Khumalo told Parliament that investigators uncovered a WhatsApp exchange between Matlala and his wife sent before police seized the device, exposing those assertions as lies. In the message, Matlala wrote, "Please send me my Swati ID. It's on our chats. I deleted it by mistake from my side." His wife then sent him an image of the document and said that exchange alone destroys the allegation of tampering. Mr. Matlala's misled Parliament and repeated those falsehoods in court without producing a shred of expert evidence. Khumalo further revealed that the Eswatini government confirmed the ID was officially issued to Matlala, but in a manner that raised serious red flags. According to Crime Intelligence, the system generated a personal identity number on 12 February 2024, which was used to issue the national ID card before any birth certificate existed in the records. The birth entry only appeared 8 days later and said that sequence is impossible in a lawful system. Calling the process clear fraud, several Eswatini officials accused of helping engineer the documents have since been arrested. The revelations comes as Matlala faces a string of criminal charges stemming from an alleged foiled assassination attempt on his former partner, socialite and entrepreneur Tebogo Tobejane. Matlala was arrested in May 2025 and charged with attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, money laundering, and defeating the ends of justice. General Khumalo also revealed that forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan has been under crime intelligence scrutiny for several months and said without follow-ups on that, he has been one of the persons of interest for a few months. He was responding to questions from EFF Member of Parliament, Lay and Matthys, when he was giving evidence at the ad hoc committee. The name of O'Sullivan has cropped up several times at the parliamentary inquiry, with some witnesses accusing him of having influence and conducting investigations at the Independent Police Investigating Directorate, IPID, among other things. Pressed on when O'Sullivan became a person of interest, Khumalo said it was for a period of about 12 months and said, as I indicated earlier, on today, that there are people that become people of interest just because they come out of nowhere and become something. By saying for the past few months, I refer to me having been in charge of crime intelligence, he has been a person of interest. Matthys noted that O'Sullivan in his book claims that he has crime intelligence officers who were giving him information and said, "What have you done?" In his response, Khumalo said there were lots of investigations that were going on around the subject. He said, "I think that is why this morning one made a comment that talked to the culture in our country of looking at something happening and doing nothing until it becomes a problem. Those are some of the issues one had to look at coming in the current position." Asked what he was doing with crime intelligence officers O'Sullivan claimed to provide him with information, Khumalo said there was a turnaround of the division. He said it will take some time. It was weakened for a very long time. He said reforms were needed as well as critical tools of trade. And said the challenges in the environment will need the working together of formal and different levels of the arms of state. He added that there was a need to get the legal framework on track because there was non-existence of policy, including legal framework in the crime intelligence. He said once that is done, you need proper tools in the form of personnel to implement reforms. Khumalo said the division had been affected by the arrest of its senior managers and the freezing of posts for almost a year. He said the plan is that to be implemented, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Khumalo told the ad hoc committee there was no need for consequence management to be implemented. However, he noted that a member in the Western Cape facing serious crime had a 1-month salary docked and then returned to work. And said the culture of disciplining is something we need to deal with from the top. We must have provincial heads and senior officers that are to instill discipline and consequence management will be realized. Khumalo confirmed that there was abuse of sacred fund big time. He reported that there was an incident where millions were robbed or stolen in the Eastern Cape Crime Intelligence Office, resulting in control measures being put in place. And said, I assigned a team to do a surprise inspection, and that information leaked when the team was on the way. The commander reported a fake robbery. That commander was dismissed afterwards and criminally charged. He said there are a lot of reforms and control measures that we put in place that were not in existence. General Khumalo also spoke about his arrest when the EFF leader, Member of Parliament Julius Malema, asked him about his own arrest last year by the IDEC and how it affected him, and said, how do you feel about it, that you had to be subjected to that kind of treatment as a senior police officer? Did you know about it before? And why do you think they treated you the way they did? In response, Khumalo said his arrest did not feel right, adding that there was a clear agenda to target him and test him, and said one had to understand it is a project targeting reputation because already the campaign was targeting both the political killings task team as well as me.
Okay, I don't want to belabor this point, so we can pass, but I do want to say everywhere where I look in your affidavit, there's 4 instances of approvals when it comes to the task teams, whether it is reports, it's a recommendation by National Commissioner, whether it is this establishment plan is a recommendation, all the approvals reside with the minister. But I want to move on to the next allegation that is made against the minister. So you testified, General, and I hope I'm not going to use words interchangeably. I don't know the difference between a syndicate and a cartel, and maybe you could just speak to it. But in paragraph 108, you said that Mr. Molefe is a known cartel member. And then I think you then said here he is dealing in drugs. Is he just dealing in drugs, or you believe he's a business person who exerts influence over SAPS officials? Is it part of your tenderpreneurship characterization?
That is correct, Honorable Member.
Now, you then said these cartels are organized criminal networks with clear objectives. General Mkhwanazi then testified before Madlanga that Mr. Matlala and Mr. Molefe were members of the Big Five cartel. Is that your understanding as well?
That's correct.
Okay, what is the relationship link between Mr. Matlala and Mr. Molefe that draws that conclusion that they are a member of this cartel?
In terms of evidence that we have that is going to be placed before court as their matters are consolidated, we will be then at liberty to.
What's your take on this one, people? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more news.